What's up? We're back. Another week of football in the books. Another winning week. I feel like both a bandit and a champion. Because we won 4 out of 5 picks from Friday's show. That felt good. The Rams line altered a little bit, but check at Mike Mush Sports always for updates up to the minute. But yeah, 4 out of 5 feels good. And I won both my fantasy leagues. I only play in 2, hard rule, no more than 2, because then you're just rooting for and against everybody. And I won both, barring a Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry 70-point Monday Night Football. And if that happens, you'll see me right back here making a video, screaming, throwing things around the room, burning my Cleveland jerseys. Not that I have any, but maybe I will one day. Feels good. Feels good to be a champion. It feels like somehow luck is on my side. 2022, year of the mush. I'm thinking it's real. We won everything. Nothing went horribly wrong. Pretty good. Russell Wilson bounces back. WrestleMania 7 this was. My 7th year with Russ. We get the strap, finally. I need a belt. WrestleMania 7. Champion. Feels good. The picks this week, if you missed them on Friday, were a 10-point teaser with Eagles and Washington under 56. Simple. Bengals plus 15. Won the game outright, like I said they might. Cardinals plus 15. Won the game outright, like I said they might. Should have got better odds on these things, obviously. And Packers plus 3.5. I mean, these were landslide victories. Then I had a 6-point teaser with Seahawks-Packers. That was easy. I had a big favorites parlay. Bears, Bucks, Bills, Pats, Niners. That all hit. Bucks scary. Got there, though. Plus 113. By the way, we're not going to talk about the douche that walked off the field. I don't even want to say his name. He's gone. He's out of the league, and he doesn't deserve anyone talking about him because the broadcast did it nonstop throughout a close game, and it killed me. Stop talking about it. Stop showing the jersey. We get it. He's gone. He's a head case. Let it go. Anywho, Rams money line, minus 200. We hit that narrowly. And then the only one we lost was a Rams-Colts teaser. Colts couldn't pull it out against the Raiders? What was that? We'll talk about that. So let's dive into the scores. I want to do it a little bit differently this week. Our schedule is going to change a bit, like I've been warning you guys. I think we're going to go for Monday and Friday shows leading into and out of the weekend. And I'm going to try to get a little more specific with the topics instead of just diving into every box score, because it's just impossible to keep up when it comes to that kind of stuff. So today we're going to go through some playoff stuff. And I have this feeling that underdogs might end up being the way to go. And I'll tell you why when we go through some of these games. And I'll give you a line on each of the other ones. Let's see what we got. All right. So here's the thing. All these teams are flawed. All of them. All of them. Maybe not the Packers. And even them, the defense was not challenged this week, obviously, but is a little scarier than it should be, I think. We'll have time to deliberate on that. First, I'll go through the games that don't matter, and I'll give you my quick blurb on each one, right? Bills, Falcons. I said, this is how you know I still am a mush. Year of the mush, true, but not really. In my group chat, I just kept talking about how Devin Singletary is terrible. Just watch him play. He's not good. And one of my friends goes, he's averaging 4.5 yards per carry. I mean, he's not that bad. They should have some balance. And I kept preaching that, like, every game they just give it to Josh Allen and let him do everything. They dominate. And then Devin Singletary runs for 110 yards, 2 touchdowns, and I look like a moron. So what do I know about the Bills? That's it. Falcons stink. Bears, Giants. Giants are the worst franchise right now moving forward. It's insane. Saquon Barkley got me 100 yards in a fantasy championship, though. Thank you, buddy. And who cares about this game at all? Chiefs, Bengals, we'll talk about in depth. Dolphins, Titans. I can't believe Tua is proving me this wrong. Talk about a team that can beat the bad teams and lose to the good teams. Jesus. Deontay Foreman now is going to be like a crazy... I mean, him and Henry run the same. They both run so physical and hard. I know that's not one line, but wow, Tua, what are you doing? Ryan Tannehill revenge game. That's the line. Raiders Colts we'll actually talk about. Patriots Jaguars. Jaguars are by far the worst playing team in the NFL. And I don't know if it's time to be worried about Trevor Lawrence, but even Zach Wilson looked a lot better than he did. Yeah, I mean, this game, what are you going to do? What I'm going to say about this game is, we'll actually go into that one. Eagles, Washington, who cares? Fade the Eagles come playoff time. Believe in that. Going to stick with that. Looks like they're going to make it. Rams, Ravens, we'll talk about. Broncos, Chargers. Drew Lock is one of the worst quarterbacks in football, backup or not. So this means nothing to me. Texans, Niners was way closer than it should have been. Trey Lance, I'm convinced, had some kind of procedure at halftime because he came out in the second half and actually moved the ball really well. Finishes 16 for 23 for 249 and 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, in the first half, he couldn't move the ball an inch. So you're like, okay, I don't know what to take out of that. Cardinals, Cowboys, we'll talk about. Panthers, Saints, who possibly cares? Anyone who thought that taking Sam Darnold or Cam Newton, either one, in this game against a good defense was a smart idea, you are just completely lost. Poor Niners fans needed the Panthers to win, and Darnold turns it over on the last drive like we all knew he would. I think they missed a field goal, too. Like, awful. Lions, Seahawks. Russ is back. Champion. WrestleMania 7. He wins the strap. Good for him. I knew he had it in him. Can't wait for next year when he goes to a new team. I cannot wait. And then the Packers rout the Vikings because they're good. So that's that. Now you look at the standings, and you can pick apart. Look at the playoff standings. It's easier to visualize. You can pick apart what's wrong with each of these teams. Right? We'll go deeper into the box scores to prove it. But the Titans have, I mean, if they get Derrick Henry back, that's the if, right? It's just health with the Titans. Because they have the number 1 seed as of now. If you have to go, I don't know if their home field advantage matters that much. I really don't know. I'm not saying that it doesn't. I just don't really have an opinion on it. But the Chiefs' offense has not been consistent. I mean, it's still statistically amazing, but they go through these spells where you're like, what happened? Why couldn't you score? You were scoring on every possession. We'll talk about this game in depth. The Bengals lost to the Jets, and the Bengals is more just like, all these teams just have lapses. That's the problem. They all just have moments where they just look completely human. The Bills will turn it over. I still don't believe in the running game, even though they ran it down everyone's throat, but maybe they are one of the least flawed teams in the league, I guess. Patriots, rookie quarterback, non-dynamic skill players. Offense is a struggle. Colts, same thing. Passing game is a struggle. Chargers have a million struggles. I don't need to go this far down. Packers are the only team. I said Dallas last week. I still believe that roster-wise. But now we've seen too much of them just going through these periods where it's like, what happened? Why did we lose to Denver and not be able to score? Why couldn't we move the ball at all against the Cardinals? There's too many of those to think that you can rattle off 4 wins in a row come playoff time. The Rams don't have a good quarterback. Stafford has not been good. He just keeps turning it over. He's basically what Jared Goff was for them. Except Goff knew he couldn't do a lot. So I don't know about them. And the Bucs are just have so many injuries and nonsense going on. They'll still be in the mix, but their secondary is really bad. The Niners, not even favorites to make the playoffs anymore. Saints don't have a quarterback. The Eagles I don't believe in. I've said that forever. I think the Eagles are still... Did they clinch? They clinched, technically. So they're stuck in the 7th seed, and somehow someone's going to get the 8. So the Saints, if the Saints win, they jump to the 6, and the Niners are out. And the Saints play the Falcons, I think. They could play spoiler in a division game. So everyone's flawed, right? So if everyone is flawed, you're going to get some of these teams at big spreads. And why not just take all the dogs? I would say to put in some future bets on teams like, I said last week, put in a future bet for Cincinnati to the Super Bowl. And now that time has passed, that's out the window because they beat the Chiefs and everyone's on the bandwagon. But I was there first. Go back and check on Friday. I said I like the Bengals. But yeah, I mean, even the Colts, if you wanted to get the Raiders just don't die. They refuse to die. There's no reason they should win. But if Waller comes back, I don't know. They keep winning games they shouldn't win anyway. In the first round, who knows? And the problem is if the Chiefs are the 2 seed, you're really hurting. But it won't shock me if they lose. You can't really do futures, though, with COVID. Because then if you do a futures bet and you lose somebody, you're like, well, this is over. You can't do prominent futures bets. I guess you could do high paying ones, which leads into this theory of like, keep taking the underdogs because crazy stuff is happening constantly. So why lay the favorites? And if you watch the show, you know that most often I like to parlay two favorites to get good odds, or I like to do a teaser, 2-team teaser, and a lot of the time they're favorites, sometimes dogs. But still, now I think for the playoffs I have to flip it for football. We'll see when the actual matchups come out, but when I look at them now, if the season stopped now and we didn't have the extra week, you would have the Titans getting a bye, you would have the Chiefs against the Chargers or the Raiders. That's TBD. I mean, technically it's the Chargers now, and the Chargers already beat them. Who's to say they can't? I would probably take the Chargers in that game just because you're going to be getting great odds. You're having the Bengals against the Colts. I mean, am I ready to lay points there? I don't know. I'd probably take the points. You have Buffalo and New England. Whoever's getting the points, I'm probably taking the points. In the NFC, you have Green Bay gets the bye. You have the Rams against the Eagles. I mean, that's a really, really bad matchup. I don't believe in the Eagles, so this is a hard example for me. But you have the Bucks against the Niners or the Saints. You've seen them struggle with those kind of teams already, especially the Saints historically. I don't think Brady's going to lose in the first round, but still they're flawed. And if you're getting good odds, who knows? You'd have a Dallas and Arizona rematch. Whoever's getting points in that one, I probably like. I just can't see reasons to give up point. Maybe the spreads will just be small. I mean, who knows? It depends on the matchup, the health, all that kind of stuff. But I'm not comfortable laying points with any of these teams because I think they're all so similar and so flawed that maybe you take the better coach and do it that way so they could exploit the failures. I don't know, but they all have them. No one is without them except maybe Green Bay. They're the only team that I'm like, yeah, they can pretty much do everything. But if Adams goes down to a COVID illness, it's like, okay, now what do we do? And I know you could play that game with anyone, but that's kind of my point, is maybe take some underdogs. Let's look at these week's games to prove it. This Bengals-Chiefs game, good for the Bengals. I thought they would compete. I took them plus 15.5. They were getting killed early. And they needed Jamar Chase to go 11 for 266 and 3 touchdowns. By the way, he's the favorite now for Offensive Rookie of the Year over Mac Jones. That switched today. Mac was the favorite, and Chase deserves it. I mean, look at his stat line. It's just bananas. It's bananas. He has 124 targets. He still has a game to go. 79 receptions, 1429 yards, 13 touchdowns. I mean, that's an all-time season, literally, already. He's wide open every play. You can't do anything. But here's what I don't get. Two things. First of all, the Chiefs scored 3 points in the second half. Three. Pretty sure they scored touchdowns on not their first drive, but the next 4, right? First drive was incomplete, 8-yard pass, and then they ran for 1 yard, and you're like, okay, I guess we're going to punt. Then touchdown. 5-play drive, 7-play drive, 9-play drive, 9-play drive. And they go into the half. 4 out of 5 touchdowns, 1 3 and out because they came a yard short. They probably would have scored on that one too. And you're like, well, is there going to be any drive where they don't score? And then the second half, what happened here? 6-play drive punt, 5-yard pass, 3-yard pass, 17-yard scramble, broken play, 1-yard run, incomplete, and then you have to punt. Without the scramble, that's another 3 and out, okay? Then their defense gives up a 10-play drive, which ends in a punt somehow. Weird, but all right. This game just got bizarre. Another 6-play drive with a punt. A screen pass for a first down, incomplete. A run for 19 yards, a run for 8 yards, a run for no gain, and then you get a holding penalty, kills the drive. Punt it. And then you have a field goal drive to tie it. But they got pretty deep here. They got into the red zone, couldn't finish. This is all pretty alarming, is it not? 3 points in the second half against the Bengals defense, who's like, they're frisky. I like them. They're fast. They're young. But the Chiefs go from what happened at halftime? What happened? And I'm left wondering, have they been doing this and we just have been ignoring it? Because they have, right? I don't want to go through every single game, but let's go through the recent ones. Let's take the... Well, the blowouts aren't interesting against bad teams, right? But against decent teams, let's say the Chargers game, the Cowboys game, the Packers game. That was a lot of injured players, but still. The Titans game, the Bills game, the Chargers game, and the Ravens game. Let's look through all of them. Against the Chargers, where they won on the road in overtime, they scored 3 in the second and 3 in the third. Against the Cowboys, they had 3 points in the second half. Against the Packers, they had 0 points in the second half. Against the Titans, they had 3 points in general. Against the Bills, they had 3 points in the first quarter and 0 in the third, and they finished with 20. Against the Chargers, when they lost, they had 0 points in the first quarter, 3 points in the first half. Against the Ravens, the offense played pretty well, and they still lost because we haven't even gotten to the defensive part of this yet. So I know a lot of the numbers and the eye tests say like, yeah, but they can rip off a 70-yard pass for a touchdown whenever they want. Not really. Maybe this offense isn't as dominant as you think it is. They struggle to run the ball despite what the numbers show. 6.7 yards per carry. Yeah, but Gore had a 23-yard run. There was a 19-yard run for Williams. You remove that. He had 13 carries for like 60-something. He ran well. But without Hilaire, I really do think they miss him, even if the numbers aren't there for him. And you had 2 for 25 from Mahomes. I just don't see the running attack being good for them. And they go through these spells where you're like, I don't really understand why they're not scoring. But then they punt and you're like, oh, I guess the drive's over. Let's look at the defense. By the way, I don't want to take credit away from the Bengals. They went out and won this game. Like, good for them. I know I'm talking Chiefs right now, but that's because I believe in the Bengals, and the whole point of this podcast is like maybe we should take the underdogs to the playoffs. So, how do you never double chase? I get the initial game plan of being like, they have too many weapons. We got to try to slow down Mixon. They did a good job of that. If you double chase, Higgins and Boyd are going to kill us. Fair enough. But when he's got 8 for 160 in the first half, maybe you adjust come the second half. Okay? You can't just keep letting him torch you. And I know he's impossible to cover, but 2 guys should be able to do it. And you just... I mean, they just stuck to their guns constantly when it was not working. And I can't understand why. What are they trying to prove here? And did they prove it? Because that's alarming that you can't figure it out. What is so hard about figuring that out? If Chase is crushing you, you have to force Higgins to make some plays. I know he's really good too. But you got to stop them from doing what's working every single time. No different than Cincinnati had to stop them from getting these early drives that were working so well because of the running game. They adjusted. They forced the pass somehow on Kansas City. And they took Kelsey out of the game by bracketing him, which a lot of teams have done. I mean, he had a touchdown, but he wasn't a huge part. And they had 2 deep safeties, which is how everyone says you keep beating the Chiefs. So they adjust. And the Chiefs did nothing to adjust. And coaching really let them down in this one, and offense really let them down in this one, which is 2 areas where you think they're generally going to be good. Maybe the Chiefs didn't fix it, right? I mean, we thought they did because they ripped off 1 million wins in a row, but you look at the wins and you're like, okay, they beat the Giants barely. That's not a positive. They barely beat Jordan Love Packers. Not a positive. They crushed the Raiders twice. All right, whatever. They beat the Broncos, but not by as many as they should have. They beat the Cowboys, but not by as many as they should have. They beat the Chargers in a good road win, but it was close. And they crushed the Steelers. I mean, we're also talking about how the Dolphins crush bad teams. So let's not crown the Chiefs because they crushed some bad teams in the Raiders, Steelers, and Giants. And they didn't even crush them. So I'm not out on them. I still have Chiefs bets to win the Super Bowl. Like, I still think that they could. Their upside is really high. But let's not act like this isn't a flawed team. It absolutely is. And you can't be that afraid to fade them come playoff time, especially if you're getting a lot of points. If you're talking about Cincinnati, there aren't a lot of flaws with this team. It's just, again, sometimes, I mean, they're peaking probably at the right time, which is good. Because they have wins over Broncos, Ravens, Chiefs. I mean, Broncos win was not great, but it was a win. And they can probably sit some players against the Browns, get Burrow healthy. He tweaked his knee at the end. But, you know, this is a team that lost to the Jets and got killed by the Browns in back-to-back weeks. Let's not act like their defense is completely unstoppable, unbelievable. They can win shootouts, but they could have some bad matchups with, like, if they go against the Patriots, I don't think that's a great matchup for them, right? Because Patriots are so much bigger in the trenches and physical. It'll be an interesting matchup who can impose their will more, because if Cincinnati forces a shootout, they'll win. And if the Patriots force a knockdown, drag-out slog, then they'll probably win. But I just think you're going to get the Bengals as underdogs eventually. And I'd take that over the Chiefs as favorites. And I proved it this week by taking it already, and I would do the same in the playoffs, honestly. So that's just one example, but you got to wonder what's up with the Chiefs, because it's not the time to have these questions anymore. We thought this was behind us. Same thing with the Colts. And why do the Raiders keep winning? Also, Marcus Mariota came in for like 3 running plays on big downs and got them, and then was super excited, like pumping his fist going forward. Weird. It's all just very weird. Derek Carr is good, but didn't play that well. He had 2 picks. It looked like they were going to lose. Zay Jones has 8 receptions for 120 yards. Renfro apparently can't be stopped anymore. I don't even get it. Josh Jacobs didn't run that well. They don't have other good running backs. Drake is out for the season. Carr sometimes carries them, but it didn't look like he did in this game. They didn't really slow down Taylor. He had 100 yards and a touchdown. I mean, I know that's pedestrian for him, but he had 5.4 yards a carry. Wentz didn't turn it over. You look at the box score, you remove the score, and you're like, okay, Colts won this, yeah. Wentz only had to throw it 27 times. Taylor got 20 carries, did a good job with them. Pittman did fine. What's the problem? And then, yeah, I don't know. You start down 7-0, which hurts. Start down 10-0 because you have 2 bad. They just got a slow start in this one, I guess. But when they score the 10-play, 60-yard drive in the 2-minute drill, 10 plays, going no huddle. All right, autoplay, chill it out. I like the music, but chill it out. You're like, okay, they're gonna win. That's how I felt. And then they score the touchdown coming out of the half. They're like, okay, slow start. I get it. Then Carr throws the interception. You're like, bingo. I'm going to sweep all my picks. I'm getting the broom out. It's sitting right here. I'm going to do something funny. Nope. No broom. Keep it in the closet. The broom closet. I don't get it. They have the ball. They're up 17-13. All the momentum on their side. And then this drive's just ugly because 2nd and 5, Taylor goes for -1. That never happens. And then Wentz takes a sack when they were already holding. Like, okay, I guess we're going to have to play defense. And then they do play defense. They force a punt, all right? And they go 3 and out again, which this is the drive that you're like, what the hell, man? Frank Reich, what are you doing? And I like him as a coach. He seems to have the team motivated. I watch Hard Knocks. They look like they're ready to run through a brick wall. And then you come out, you have a 17-13 lead. It's almost the 4th quarter. It spans into the 4th quarter. You pass on 1st down. Not sure why. You pass on 2nd down. You pass on 3rd down. What the hell, man? Also, this touchdown was nonsense, the T.Y. Hilton touchdown. The tip pass that easily could have been intercepted in this game would have looked a lot worse. I get it, but it did happen. And then we're already on to the part where you have the lead. You can't take that away. But what are you doing on this drive? This is why I say these teams have flaws and go through lapses. It's like their coaches aren't paying attention or their player. I don't know what it is. How do you not give Jonathan Taylor the ball one time on this drive? It's the fourth quarter. You need the game. You're playing a team that is on the ropes that can probably wilt after all the crap they've been through. This could be the end of their season. You're waiting for the Taylor 90-yard touchdown run to just end it all. And they throw 3 straight times with Carson Wentz, who wasn't lighting it up. He threw a touchdown that tipped off of 2 defenders. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And then they punt, and they give up the lead. And you're like, yeah, that's exactly what you deserve. I know they tie the game, and then they give it back, and Carr comes down the field. Good drive, and, you know. It's just this drive, to me. This 3-play, 3-yard drive where you threw 3 times with Carson Wentz. I need an explanation on this one. I can't figure this one out. I don't know if I have a good take to come from it. I do know that if I see either of these teams in the playoffs, they're going to be getting points. I might just have to back them. I mean, I'm alarmed, but you look at this and you're like, all right, well, it's going to be Raiders, Chargers, Colts against Titans, Chiefs, Bengals, Bills. And if I'm getting 6, which some of those spreads might be, I might be like, yeah, I guess, just give me the 6. Because all these games end up close. All these teams seem closer to each other than we're giving it credit for. And all these coaches across the board, I know I'm ragging on Frank Reich right now, but we see all these teams do puzzling stuff. It's the same thing I just went over with the Chiefs. It's like, why am I that excited to take one of these teams over another if they're touchdown favorite? If it's a 3-point spread, it's a different thing. But I think there might be some big spreads. If the Raiders get in, which I assume the Chargers would need to lose, and the Chargers play... Oh, they play each other. Oh, that's the Sunday night game. Okay, so that's a playoff game. Right? Yeah. Winner and in. So Chargers-Raiders, the winner of that is going to be coming off a high. They're going to beat a division rival to get in. They're going to be feeling good about themselves. Waller should be back. Chargers have everybody pretty much back. That team is going to play... Now, Kansas City and the Titans... Who do the Titans play? Titans play the Texans, so they're going to have the 1 seed. And Kansas City plays the Broncos, which is a harder game. For sure. And the Titans beat the Chiefs. So as long as the Titans don't lose to the Texans, it's Chiefs as the 2 seed. Assuming the Chiefs win, which they do, because they need the game. So then you're talking about Chiefs versus either Chargers or Raiders. Problem is, that's a very different situation. You need the Chargers to win that to have a chance against the Chiefs. And I wonder what the spread would be. It's still going to be big. I think they'll put it at like 4, 5, 6, because you're not going to get it at 3, because everyone will take the Chiefs at 3. And I'll take the Chargers in that game. Like, they've proven they can beat them. I have no reason to lay points with the Chiefs at this point. Everyone's like, just wait. They're going to do it. They don't do it. They did it in the first half, then they did nothing in the second half. There's nothing to wait for anymore. I hope they win, but like, I'm not ready to lay points with them. Now, if the Raiders go play the Chiefs, that's a terrible nightmare matchup. So maybe that theory goes out the window, but maybe not. Maybe not, because that spread might be gigantic. They might make it 10 because they blew them out twice. And maybe I just take it. Depends how much I'm buying into what I'm saying right now. We'll see when the moment of truth comes. But the point remains, it's like all these teams and all these coaches have these moments, these drive moments where you're like, why did you do that? Like, why did the Chiefs not double cover Chase? Why did the Colts throw it 3 times when they could just run it and end the game? Why? Perfect transition, by the way. Why did the Buccaneers struggle against the Jets? They made Zach... I mean, I know I've been ragging on their secondary all year, and it's really true. Brady throws for 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. I know he turned it over. He had a lot of throws that looked really bad, by the way. Like, really not good. But their secondary made Zach Wilson look really good. It made me believe that Zach Wilson could have a future. The Jets ran the ball really well with a combo of Michael Carter, who got hurt immediately after running for 55 yards, who's really good, by the way. They have 2 Michael Carters that are very good. Their draft was awesome. Austin Walter gets 50 yards, and Ty Johnson burned them too. And Braxton Berrios was killing them all game. I mean, look at these players. Zach Wilson, Ty Johnson, Braxton Berrios, Austin Walter. This is who the Buccaneers really, really struggled with. And I know David isn't playing. And I know they have a couple of injuries. But they still have their two corners in there. They had Winfield back. This is the team. Godwin's not coming back. Evans played and scored. Cyril Grayson had a good game. Gronk was awesome. The other guy left the game. Whatever. You don't need him. You shouldn't need him. And they win the game. But, like, man, was it dicey. And, of course, the Jets blow it. I mean, we all knew that was coming. I mean, what is it? First of all, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Bobby Saleh, what are you doing? By the way, the Link podcast is excellent. You should give it a follow at the Link_podcast. Can we just watch this play? Because, oh, that was a Braxton Berrios end around, which they've been running for weeks. I tweeted about it. They've been running double reverses and end arounds for a month now. And the Buccaneers still didn't have their eyes on it. I actually couldn't believe that was real. But they're not even going to show the sneak because it was so bad. Here it is. Look at this. Okay. There's 2 minutes and 12 seconds left. You're up by 4 against a team that you really want to beat. And I'm okay with the fact that they lost because their draft position stays fine and the team looked good and it's still a feel good. Whatever. What you doing? What are you doing?
Have no timeouts, but Renfro was not down by contact. Ruling on the field was a touchdown. Jets go for a 4th down to ice the game.
I know. Look, I get it that you either want to win or lose. Fine. You don't want to go to overtime. Fine. You kick a field goal, you go up 7. How about just be a professional team that has confidence? If you go for it, fine. Don't sneak it on a long 2 yards. It was really like 4th and 3. You have no precedence for sneaking it. They haven't run sneaks all year. They're not particularly good at it. And 4th and 2 sneaking? What are you doing? Run a play that you believe in. Oh. I mean, and if Zach Wilson optioned to the sneak, then that's also very alarming. Maybe they're covering it up for him. I don't know. Horrible. What are you doing? If you're going to do that, kick the field goal. Try to play defense. He was always going to drive downfield and score. We know that. And you don't want to go to overtime. Look, fine. Be aggressive. Go for it. Fine. Whatever. You can't run the sneak. Jesus. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the Jets and their bright future. I'm just concerned with this Bucs team. What is there to really... They're 12-4. Aside from the record and the quarterback, I don't know what there is to like. Their defense just doesn't show up ever. They gave up 29 to the Cowboys in the opening game. They win, but they still get... If you give up 28 plus all the time, you're going to have a hard time in the playoffs, and your secondary can't cover anyone. They give up 25 to the Falcons. They give up 24 to the Rams. Played well in the Patriots game. I'll give them that. But the Patriots don't have a high-flying offense.
23 seconds to go. The snap, a good...
Like, have they looked decent against a good offense? Dolphins, no. Eagles, no. Bears, 38-3, but the Bears stink. Saints stink. Washington stinks. Giants stink. Colts, they gave up 31 points. Falcons stink. Bills, they gave up 27 points. Saints stink. Panthers stink. Jets stink. They had the easiest schedule in the NFL. Who's not going to take advantage of this defense? This is a fade for me. And I always back Brady because he's broken my heart so many times that in the past few years, I'm like, I'm just sticking with Brady. This year, I don't think I can do it. Like, under any circumstance, I just don't see how I would do it. And he'll probably bite me, and he'll go and win another Super Bowl. And I'll be like, yeah, he's the GOAT, and I can't pick it right. I get it. But, like, you look at the NFC, and you're like, Packers will shred this defense. Rams will shred this defense. Dallas, Cardinals, they're all going to shred the defense. And they're not going to be... Well, they could be a 2 seed, I guess. The Rams play the Niners. The Bucs play the Panthers. So if the Rams lose to the Niners and the Niners get in and the Bucs win, the Bucs will be the 2 seed and they would play the Eagles. Even that, I'm like, I don't know. Is Devontae Smith just going to get loose finally? I don't like their defense. And with the throws that Brady makes sometimes, that he could throw 2-3 picks without any question in each game, I don't know. And is Fournette healthy? Is Levante David going to be healthy? There's so many questions. How are they going to fill in at receiver? Now they're down 2 receivers. Gronk is going to get every target. Fine. So is Evans. Is he healthy? I don't know. There's way too many question marks. The Bucs are a fade to me. And this is why I'm saying they're going to be favorites come playoff time. We know it. Because if they're dogs, everyone's going to take them. So this is why I keep saying 2022 is about the dogs. It's all about the dogs. Talk about Rams. They win the game. First of all, at this point, I mean, Baltimore's not going to make the playoffs. I think they're officially eliminated. Are they? They're not, technically. Although the Dolphins are. They would need a lot of stuff to go right, and it's not going to happen. They play the Steelers next week. We'll get to the Monday Night Football and the Steelers at the end of the show. But if you're ever getting the Ravens, I mean, the season's over. But if you're getting the Ravens at plus points, you just take it because every single game is close. It's actually insane. Huntley looked pretty good again. He threw a one miserable pick. But he looked pretty good. And they ran the ball pretty well. They should have scored more than 19, definitely. Mark Andrews was open in the middle of the field a lot. He only got 6 targets, which I thought was weird. And you give 10 to Bateman and 8 to Brown. It should have been 12 targets for Andrews for sure. They honestly did way better against Kupp than I thought they would. 6 for 95 and a touchdown when they have a 4th string corner in there. Really good. I thought the Rams probably should have lost this game. I got lucky to win it. I thought it would be a rout. And it's just not. And their defense, it's really good, but it never... First of all, Taylor Rapp and Jalen Ramsey are fighting each other on the sideline, throwing punches. Von Miller is celebrating sacks when they're winning by 1 against a team with backups that they should be killing. And Stafford just looks bad. Consistently, he's looked pretty bad. And I think I tweeted him to the point where it's you gave up picks to move sideways at quarterback. Let's look at the stats. Let's look at Goff's Ram stats. His last year with the Rams, he was completing 67% of passes, 4,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Now, that was only 15 games. And Stafford has played... let's just go to... Easier to compare. He has played 16 games. But he's completed 67.3. Goff had 67. 3,000 yards. Stafford will have that beat by a lot. Yardage, no doubt about it. He can push the ball down the field better. 38 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. 20 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. So yeah, you can get it down the field, but that's also a matter of Kupp being a lot better, by the way. And having a better receiving core in general. Van Jefferson got better, etc., etc. The whole team is better. But when you watch them, you're like, yards per attempt 8.2. That's probably the biggest difference. Yards per attempt 6.5. So what they gained from this move and this trade to give up all these picks to bring in this quarterback who's only semi-healthy ever, and this is probably, I can't imagine this is going to get better next year. Because Stafford is how old? He's only 33, but he's got mileage. And he's constantly banged up. This is the time where they were supposed to be good. Maybe next year. Maybe one more. I can't see it getting better and better from here. And you start to be like, if all we got for those picks in this trade and this move, which made us a super team, was the ability to just push it downfield, then, I mean, Goff could have pushed it downfield. They chose not to. So, I don't know if it's actually making you better than you were before. And I'm just alarmed at all the interceptions he's been throwing. It's just been bad. And this is going to bite them. They can't blow teams out when they should be. Like the Jaguars, yeah. But whatever. They won by 10 against the Seahawks. They only scored 20. They won by 1 against the Ravens. They only scored 20. They won by 7 against the Vikings. They should have beat them up worse. I don't know. And then you had 3 losses before that. You gave up 22 to a Texans team. There's question marks. And especially, again, you go back to the playoff standings, and you're like, okay, 2 seed. Again, we said it might be the 3 seed. So they might be the team playing the Niners or the Saints. If they play the Niners, they're going to get smacked. The Niners know exactly how to beat them. In fact, they play this week, and I expect that the Niners can win that game. I wonder what the spread is. Rams -5, 5.5. I don't like that at all. I think the Niners know how to beat them. So, if they lose that game and have to play the Niners twice in a row after just losing to them and getting swept on the season for them, that's going to be scary. Now, if they play the Saints, they're probably going to win just because the Saints are garbage and don't have a quarterback. And that's fine. So I'm not saying take that dog, but in the next round, they get smashed. So all these elite teams have their own issues. Speaking of which, all right. I said last week that the Cowboys are probably the most complete team in the league, looking like the best team in the league, and that this game was a huge test for them. And they failed the test for one reason and one reason only. I don't think they got completely manhandled or outplayed. They started to come back at the end. Dak played pretty well. He fumbled a bunch. I don't know what was with his ball security. And Arizona's defense is good. Kyler played pretty well. Arizona ran the ball okay. Nothing eye-popping in this game, right? Dallas was playing from behind the whole time. I get it. Here's what's eye-popping. These rushing numbers are insane. What did I say was the only thing holding back the Cowboys? Their coaching. Mike McCarthy blew this game horribly. And Kellen Moore, too. He gets all this praise. You didn't run it at all. You have 2 awesome running backs. And I'm pretty sure Arizona's run defense is, like, not that great. Yards per carry. Yeah. They allow 4.4 yards per carry, same as the Jets. So, what do you do? Look, I know he's hurt. If he's hurt, don't play him. And why is Pollard only getting 3 rushes? I know you're behind. It doesn't matter. It's early in the game. What are you doing? Dak is the only one running the ball. How do you abandon the run like this? How do you run for 2.6 yards per carry? How do you not try to fix it? That is the most alarming thing about this game, and it's squarely on the coaching. So I stand by what I said, that Dallas has all the tools to win it. They really still do. But they go through these spells where you're like, what are you doing? Same thing here. Why don't the Cowboys run it? Why don't the Chiefs double cover Chase? And why do the Colts go 3 and out, passing 3 times without letting Jonathan Taylor touch the ball? And I'm picking on those 3 for today. But every team does stuff like this all the time. I haven't seen a team exempt from it. Maybe Green Bay. Maybe Green Bay. And they have their own defensive lapses. But other than them, every single team I can point to this year has done stupid stuff that has really just made me feel like I can't take them as a favorite in the playoffs. The Titans is injury-based. The Chiefs we went over. The Bengals lost to the Jets. The Bills will turn it over with Josh Allen. I still don't believe in him. And they can't run the football. I don't care what happened this week. The Patriots have a rookie quarterback and no skill players. The Colts have puzzling coaching decisions. The Chargers' defense is a sieve. The Raiders are... I don't even have anything to say about the Raiders. Steelers played tonight. Packers are exempt. Rams have Stafford, who has looked inexplicably weird, and their defense hasn't been up to par, and they're fighting with each other. Buccaneers can't play defense. Dallas has Mike McCarthy. Arizona has Kyler Murray, who will probably play injured, and it will hurt them. The Niners, I don't even know what to say about. Who knows if they'll make the playoffs. The Eagles can't pass the ball. The Saints don't have a quarterback that can even try to pass the ball. So why am I picking favorites? I don't think I am. That's the point. That's the point. Let's talk Monday, and then we go to picks. The Monday Night Football game is an ugly one. I'm working for a Cleveland-based company now. I have to be kind of a Browns supporter, or at least pay attention to them. And yet, I can't see how they win this game. I mean, they're better. They're definitely the better team. I don't think there's any question about that. I think Myles Garrett could just come out and say, I'm not losing this game, and just destroy the whole game. But if you've watched enough, you know I like to go with narrative-based picks, and this is the easiest one of all time. First of all, why is Pittsburgh minus 2.5? Spread doesn't make sense. Oh, we should take Cleveland getting the points. They're the better team. Nah. Don't think so. Big Ben's final game at home as a Steeler. They give him the Monday night game. Crowd's going to be wild. Only game on. Everyone's going to be looking at him. He is bad. He is bad, and he could get destroyed in this one. But I just see a world where even if he does get destroyed, they just have that one last moment. The one last Big Ben on the Steelers moment at home, Heinz Field. Still called Heinz Field? Yep. Ketchup. I just think there's value there. Cleveland's banged up. Both teams are banged up. There's COVID. There's nonsense. Both teams' offenses aren't great. I think Pittsburgh has the better skill players. I think Cleveland definitely has the better defense. Although Pittsburgh, if TJ Watt plays well, it could be TJ Watt versus Myles Garrett more than it is Baker Mayfield versus Big Ben. But yeah, I'm just going pure narrative. I don't need X's and O's on this one. I just see myself waking up tomorrow and going, all right, we can talk about Big Ben for one day and then we move on forever because he's not coming back. Until next year when they don't have a quarterback and it's week 8 and they're like, hey, Big Ben, can you come back and play? Same way they're asking Drew Brees and Phil Rivers to play for every team that doesn't have a quarterback. I hope it doesn't happen. But as much as I'm not a Big Ben fan, I feel like he has one last moment. He leaves it all on the field. You're going to see him breaking all the tackles, getting hurt, playing through it, blah, blah, blah. Throwing 15 times to Deontay Johnson. He catches maybe 8 of them. And maybe you get finally a Claypool big play. I just think it just feels that way. The towels are going to spin. They're going to play that Renegade song. Let's go to the picks. Monday picks. As you can imagine, we like the Steelers. I'm not laying points with the Steelers. It's bad enough that I'm taking Big Ben in a game in 2022. Unbelievable that I'm going to do this. But narrative, Steelers minus 130 on the money line. Going for it. We've been hot. Sticking with it. Also throwing in an NBA parlay. I love hoops. Feel like I haven't gotten to talk about it. Can't wait till football season's over. I know that's a rare take, but I love hoops. I want to talk more about it. And we're going to do more episodes, basketball-centric, coming up, I promise you. For now, we'll stick with an NBA parlay. Hornets +2 at the Wizards. I can't figure this one out. Why are the Wizards... They're crushed by COVID. And the Hornets have, like, all of their players, and yet the Hornets are underdogs. They're playing on a back-to-back, but I don't care. Maybe it's a fool's errand to try to figure out the COVID situation, but I'll take the Hornets +2 at the Wizards. Parlay that with the Jazz money line against the Pelicans and the Warriors money line against the Heat. Both very wide spreads because the Heat are banged up too and the Pelicans stink. And you get that at around +180, which is great. So I'm sticking that one in there. +180, Hornets, Jazz, Warriors. I said it was about dogs, so we take the Hornets and we just sprinkle in some big favorites to make the odds a little better. We love dogs. Woof, woof. Follow me on Twitter at Mike Mush Sports. Follow me on Instagram at Mike Mush Sports. You get more content there. Follow at the link_podcast if you want some non-sports stuff. I put out an audio-only podcast every week. If you can, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's really helpful. If you're watching this, just click the subscribe. There's more sports content coming your way. It doesn't hurt anybody. It helps the algorithm. Give me a like. Give me a comment. Join the live chat. We'll see you on Friday. Peace out.